Good morning and welcome to another Gribbly's Folly Sunday Antisocial Hour, that time each week when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity, while also answering all of its questions. Happy Easter, if that's your thing. Happy Passover, if that's your thing. Happy spring, happy Sunday, if that's your thing. If even Sunday is not your thing, then I hope you're happy. The more astute among you will notice that I have broken my fast with my Missouri Meerschaum kernel in favor of my Savinelli 920 KS, which I bought cheap way back in the day because it had a finish flaw. Don't know why we're so disparaging about the Finns. They seem like perfectly nice people to me, but it was flawed. I was told it was a finish flaw. I don't know what they did to the pipe. Anyway, I will be returning to my Missouri Meerschaum kernel after today. I had a dream about making this video, and in the dream, I was smoking this pipe, so I figured you better heed the signs when you're a level 50 shaman like me. That is an excellent segue into our first hashtag Ask Gribbs question. If you have a burning, itching, swollen, throbbing question for me, I will answer any question. Any question except about my deep personal phobias. Thank you, Derek Tant. Any question will be answered here on the Sunday Antisocial Hour. All you gotta do, put it in the comments down below using the hashtag AskGribbs. Now, this week, we have two questions. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I don't know who I offended, but I need your questions, people. You gotta give me the questions if you want answers. Ask and ye shall receive. Fortunately, I'm gonna fudge it. We got 2.5 questions really, because Norbo made a comment that we gotta respond to that, Norbo. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it because the first question goes to Amy Mack because she lacks a Y chromosome. And her question is, do you have any resources you're willing to share on becoming a level 50 shaman? Now, I can't divulge too much, but I would say, you're probably off to a good start because most people just walking around, they're already like a level 2 or 3 shaman, just by default. They don't even know it. We just have these intrinsic shamanic abilities. Somewhere out there, this is probably why I don't have any questions this week. Somewhere out there are people that actually consider themselves shaman and they're offended, right? They watch these videos and I bet word has spread. It's like a whole outrage mob thing going on. This dude is making fun of shamans and I am not making fun of shamans. I'm making fun of... Okay, all right, I might be making fun of shamans, but only in the kindest possible way. And Amy Mack, let me tell you, one way... There is some secrecy surrounding this, by the way. And I would go so far as to say, if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you might be aware of the secrecy wraith, and you do not want an angry wraith mad at you about sharing your shaman secrets. I can't believe I made it through sharing your shaman secrets. I made it through that without stumbling. All right, so there are some resources I can share. First, 20 minutes a day of devil breathing. And then another 20 minutes a day that I never do anymore of Satan stretching to keep you limber, because you're going to need it when you're doing your shaman dances to bring rain or tobacco. Basically the reason McClellan's went under is there just weren't enough. I didn't do my shaman dances. I'm really pushing it this week. Okay, so the main thing is, and I think the secrecy wraith will not materialize behind me and eat my soul for telling you this, but if you eat enough brown sugar Pop-Tarts in a row without stopping, no bathroom breaks, get an adult diaper if that's what it takes. I don't know what the number is, but I know that somewhere after the first pallet, if you keep eating brown sugar Pop-Tarts, you will see God. Derek Tant Ask Gribbs refused to answer. Wow, I must have tapped into something. Yes, you did, sir. Yes, you did, making fun of people with mental illness like me. I don't see a lot of questions in the comments right now. Thank you for pointing that out, too. I appreciate that, Derek. So, Ask Gribbs, he comes in to save the day. He's got several questions here. What is your favorite song by Metallica? Easy. Harvester of Sorrow. If that's not your favorite song by Metallica, you're not even a metalhead. Metalhead Cigar Guy, are you watching? Can you confirm this, please? Your favorite Metallica album. Okay, that's different, because even though Harvester of Sorrow is on And Justice for All, that is not the best Metallica album. And I've thought about this long and hard over many years, actually. And I think that if you were a music critic and you were writing about the best Metallica album, that album would be Master of Puppets. However, if you're just a dude like me who likes thrash metal, it's Kill 'Em All. Forgot to mention I'm smoking Northwoods. This pipe is showing its age. You got the age spots here on the old vulcanite stem. I wish I could get, I'm sure I could get a custom acrylic stem for this pipe, but I don't want to pay for it. And that is a real stumbling block toward buying stuff. So, but man, what a great pipe. This was my first real pipe. I had a basket pipe as my very first pipe that my wife gave me, which has sadly been donated to an unworthy cause. And so this was the first pipe I ever bought myself. And just look at that grain. It's pretty awesome. Actually, we got bird's eye over here, and we got straight flamey stuff over here. And I saw this pipe on the shelf, and there was a obviously they had dripped some finish at the factory. There was a drip of finish, and so I just took some damn rubbing alcohol and got rid of that. Yeah, this pipe has been quite a friend over the years. I like the smooth finish. You know, I smoke so many cobs that I forget how the smooth finish just kind of, it's really nice to hold on to. We need something to hold on to in this world. All right. Here we go. Derek Tant says, which is scarier, zombies or vampires? I'm going to go with zombies on this one, because vampires at least still have style. Like, they have identity. Okay, well, the real reason I'm going with zombies is because I saw the Twilight movies, and I can never think of vampires as scary again. But even if you're like an Anne Rice style vampire, you still get coolness, right? You still get to be a hero or a villain or whatever. Whereas zombies, they basically lose all identity, and they want to eat your brain. Like, I think that there's something intrinsically horrifying about zombies, and that's why we're so obsessed with them as a culture, because it's a more realistic fear, even though zombies are not realistic at all. It's a more realistic fear because we can see people who walk around with no brains, craving the things that people with brains have. I'm really trying to keep that kind of thing out of this video, right? This is not a day for that. This is a day when we acknowledge a love beyond our understanding, and of which none of us is deserving. And does it even exist? Do we even know that that love is out there? I think that we do. I know people will disagree, but so I'm going to try not to call my fellow human beings zombies, even though I'm clearly right that they are. Ask Gribbs, mummies or werewolves, which is more scary? Mummies are basically just really old zombies, right? They're zombies without any muscle tissue left. So why are they scary? I never understood that. They're like bones and rags shuffling around in the desert. I just don't get it. You could knock them over with like a cactus. Or, do they have cacti over there in that desert? In the Gobi Desert? Is that where it is? Anyway, The Curse of the Pharaohs is another good Metallica song, Derek Tant, but it's not originally a Metallica song. That is what's the band? Merciful Fate song. And I like the Metallica version better because the lead singer of Merciful Fate. Can you tell I don't have any questions to answer this week? The lead singer, I don't like the operatic vocals, the really high vocals. I think Hetfield has a perfect mid-range metal voice. Had a perfect mid-range metal voice. It's kind of iffy these days. All right, mummies versus werewolves. Werewolves are scarier. You don't know who is the werewolf. Could be you. The werewolf doesn't know it's a werewolf. So for all you know, these horrible murders might be caused by you. I think werewolves are a much more psychological fear, and they don't have the stylishness of vampires, even though they were in Twilight too, but I mean, they weren't really. Like, they were kind of a plot device. They weren't, the movie wasn't about how sexy werewolves could be if we got teen heartthrobs to play them. Actually, did it have some of that in it? Werewolves are still scarier than mummies. Finally, Derek Tant wants to know, would you puree a brown sugar Pop-Tart in a blender with some Wild Turkey 101 and let us know how that tastes? Yes, I will, Derek Tant. Yes, I will. The next time Shovelin' Shane comes over and dares me to do something crazy on a video, I think this is a pretty good idea. I think you would need, what's the ratio here? I think you would need a good airplane bottle of Wild Turkey to 2 Pop-Tarts to really get a pasty. You wouldn't want it to be too dry, but you also wouldn't want it to be too soupy. You know, it'd have to be the perfect consistency. Can you puree in a blender? That just means homogenize, right? I think we can make this happen on this channel. All right, now Norbo is known to let the beat drop. I am afraid of all these yahoos. This was in response to Derek asking me what really scares me, and of course we've got the other scary stuff. So I don't know why this comes up today, but Norbo is telling us what he's afraid of here. I'm afraid of all these yahoos who think carrying guns into public places is their right. They know that guns are not allowed in airports, courts, schools, or government buildings, but they think they have a right to carry a gun outside their home. Morons. Still quoting Norbo, hold on a second. The fact is that I am more afraid of myself. I've been really good at controlling my emotions for years, but when I see these ignorant idiots with their deadly pacifiers, my gut tells me to get the aluminum baseball bat from my car and beat their thick skull until I see brain matter all over the floor. Norbo, let's unpack this, shall we? Number one, please don't murder anybody with a baseball bat. I would really appreciate it, right? If you would not do that, because at the very least, the FBI is going to come to my door being like, why were you inciting this guy to violence, asking him to ask you questions about the scariest thing ever. So don't do that. Also, try not to kill your fellow man. That's a big deal. I mean, I don't know, what your moral grounding is, but I'm pretty sure there's not a valid one out there that doesn't begin with, don't beat people to death with a baseball bat. Second, if you approach someone carrying a gun with a baseball bat, they're just going to shoot you. Third, you're so pissed off that people might have a tendency toward violence that you have a tendency toward violence. But at least you're self-aware, and you can say, I'm really more afraid of myself than I am of these gun-toting crazy people. And I, for the record, as Captain Firearm USA as I used to be, when I engaged in such debate, I was never a fan of open carry. Open carry is a stupid, stupid idea for exactly this reason, because people like Norbo will try to beat you with a baseball bat, and then you gotta shoot them, and then you're in a big court battle. And I think that personally, my opinion, yeah, I'm gonna ring the bell with this one. My opinion, I think I might have said this before on the channel. My opinion is that open carry is the right-wing version of the I had an abortion shirts. It's way above and beyond anything that's necessary from any tactical advantage. It's a terrible tactical idea. It's rubbing the noses of your political enemies in your rights. And I guess it's your right to do that, but it's just not very nice. I live in a concealed carry state. If I see you open carrying, I will walk the other way because it's so easy to get a concealed carry permit here. Why didn't you just do that? What is it about you that makes you have to wear this gun on your sleeve? And anyway, I'm not disagreeing with you, Norbo, is what I'm trying to say. However, this weekend is not only Easter or Passover, it is also the 20th anniversary of the Columbine school shooting. And I was a senior in high school on that day. I had long hair. I liked to play Doom. I listened to Marilyn Manson, and I wore a long black trench coat. None of that went over too well after that. I had a friend in Littleton, Colorado, a young lady that I had met online in the AOL Writers Cafe, because that was what you did with the internet in the 1990s. And actually, I think the Writers Cafe was probably defunct by then. But as a young teenager, I was convinced that I was destined to be a great American novelist, and ergo, I should get my start in the Writers Cafe on AOL. Anyway, so I had struck up a friendship with this girl who went to high school in Littleton. She did not go to Columbine. She went to another high school in Littleton, but I didn't know that. And so, and of course, it was 1999. There was no way to know anything, and not that there's any way to know anything now. Don't make the mistake of thinking you can know anything. All right, let's stay on track, Gribbs. Okay. I didn't even know about the shooting until after. Well, no, I think we heard about it in school, but we didn't hear any details. And for some reason, my dad picked me up that day, even though I was a senior and I was plenty capable of driving. Probably car trouble, because that car was a piece of shit. Anyway, my dad came and said, there's been a shooting, and we listened to it on the radio, and that was where I heard that it was in Littleton. And and then there was the time difference, so I didn't really watch any of the media coverage, but I was talking about it with my wife this week, and if it hadn't been for 9/11, I think Columbine would be the day that we all look back on as the day that the world changed. Because, there had been shootings before, there had been school shootings before, but there had been nothing like what those two kids did. And it... I went to school the next day, and this principal, who had known me since I was in 5th grade, said, "Man, you got to take that jacket off. You have my lung black coat. You can't have that in school anymore." And I will admit, there was a time in my life when I wondered about, is doom gonna make me a shooter? Is listening to Marilyn Manson? This was back when I was. Actually, Marilyn Manson sucks, y'all. I'm not sticking up for Marilyn Manson here. Total shock rock, nothing of substance there. But Doom was awesome. I still like Doom. I watched some Doom playthroughs this week because I was reading about Columbine and thought about Doom. And, but there was a time after that shooting when I was struggling to internalize these things. And wait a minute, is this music going to make me a bad person? Are these video games going to? Is my long black trench coat and my long hair, is that going to make me a bad person? And obviously the principal, she had some concern that it might. And that's the same concern that Norbo has here, is that this guy carrying a gun on his hip as a civilian is prone to mass murder. And I think there's a flaw there. I've read a lot about Columbine, and what those kids did was crazy. They were insane, literally insane. And I think that we explain their actions at our own peril, right? But at the same time, they were just kids, and they behaved like kids, even as they were doing these horrible things. And at my age, it's easier to see. I hated school. My buddies and me in middle school would draw pictures of the school burning down, of teachers running around with their hair on fire. It was a joke, like it was a cartoon. But nowadays, if we'd been caught doing that, they would have said, "Hey, you're the next school shooter." When I was teaching high school, there was a kid in my class that wanted to shoot up the class, and she said so. She said so. It was a girl. She said, "Yeah, I'm going to come in here and shoot people." And I said, "Fuck you, you're not. That's not going to happen in my class." I don't know what I would have done about it. But I had the sense that she wasn't really serious about it. And I went to the administration and I said, I think this girl is just not really, she doesn't really know how to express herself, and she's making these threats, And they said, "Yeah, okay, we'll look into that." By the way, if there was a school shooter at that time, no one directly explained this to me. But if there was a school shooter at that time, the teachers had cards that they were supposed to put under the door. And the green card meant that everyone in that room was okay, and the red card meant that the school shooter was in that room and the police should come in there. I don't know why you would put a card under a door while someone is shooting you in the back. But the doors didn't lock either, is the other thing. And it struck me at the time. And by the way, eventually they did. They didn't let her graduate. They didn't let the girl graduate with the rest of her class. They still let her graduate. They still let her fucking graduate. Anyway, but she didn't get her to walk across the stage because she threatened to shoot up graduation. And in reading about Columbine this week, it was talking about just the epic fail that was the law enforcement response to that. And it reminds me of why I left for the woods, which is that evil cannot be resisted. All the good guys doing things, they're just shoving colored paper under the door, or they're sitting in the parking lot because they're too afraid to go in and cause collateral damage or whatever. The evil is the evil, and it will do its thing. It's up to us, Norbo, to realize, like you did about yourself, wait a minute, I don't want to be the thing that I'm so repulsed by. And when you really look at Columbine, and when you really look at people like me, who absolutely hated school, all my friends hated school, even my wife, as we were talking about this week, was like, yeah, I felt some of that. Like, of course I wanted wrath to be visited upon the teachers that I didn't like and the kids that bullied me and all that. And we blame people open carrying, or we blame the music or the video games or whatever, and we never, ever, ever blame ourselves. So on this day when sins are forgiven, I can say, here's the other thing. Everyone's like, oh, these kids were bullied. Who wasn't bullied? Raise your hand if you made it out of high school without being bullied. Now, granted, it sounds like Klebold and Harris were really, really, really bullied, but I was really, really, really bullied. I was ambushed outside the homecoming dance and beaten up by a bunch of rednecks one night when I was I think I was a freshman or a sophomore when that happened. But physical violence was visited upon me quite a bit. And the verbal abuse was a daily thing. But on this day when sins are forgiven, right, can I not also admit that I was also a bully? I definitely was. I visited that stuff right down to the people that I could target. And, I didn't do anything super egregious. There were no Carrie-like scenes or anything like that. But yeah. I mean, if a school shooter had showed up in my school, I would not have been blameless in the bullying accounts. So this system that we've got, it doesn't work. Norbo, on this day, which I know is your thing, good on you for realizing your culpability as a human being, being a wrathful creature. Good on you for realizing that and restraining yourself. And that's it for today. Sorry it's a short one. Ask me more questions. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.